White Sox team can have a really decent season in a really bad division. That's what you guys have to remember. It's a really bad division.
It is.
That's
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
You have your scab-eating OC holding you back, calling two of the same screenplays in a row during one game, and having you throw two passes, which I was corrected by, one pass in the fourth quarter of a game you were the best player in. Fight me!
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. Bullshit.
a good organization would do. But this is the Bears, not a good organization. So they're going to keep Ryan Poles.
Why?
We just feel our disappointment. That's all.
Yeah, nothing wrong with
difference
that.
between the Bears and the Bears.
Yeah, we do it. We do it when it's still warm outside.
Right, yeah.
We can get out like October, beginning November. Still like 50, 60 degrees. Nowadays, it's still like 70 degrees.
And that way, during the winter, we're still so angry that everything's warm. And welcome to Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk. It's your boy, Brandon Combs, along with my guy, the birthday boy.
Oh, God.
Ryan.
You
Fitz
had
Gibbons.
it. You had.
For today's episode, we didn't think we could use happy birthday for, legal reasons, so we had a backup plan. Listen to this. Yay, 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 it's your birthday. Hey, 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 it's your day. It's not Monday, it's not Tuesday, it's not Wednesday, it's not Thursday, it's not Friday, it's not Saturday, it's not Thursday. It's your birthday. The day that...
What the hell? What?
Happy birthday, Ryan Fitzgibbons. What's going on, buddy? How's it feel to be 62?
Hey! Settle down.
No, not 62?
Not 62. Not far away. Thanks, Michelle. Your better half by far.
Oh,
not
by
even
far.
Close.
It's not even a you're not even gonna get an argument from me.
It's my birthday. We're 4 days away from baseball, baby.
We are 4 days away from baseball.
If you were close to me, I might actually hug you and then probably choke you, but then hug you again.
We are 4 days away from baseball. We are going to talk about baseball. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball. We're going to talk about opening day coming up. We're going to talk about things that we see happening, things we want to see happen. I know you're going to be at the rate for whatever reason for opening day. You're going to be there giving Jerry Reinsdorf your money. I don't know why you would support this man.
I'm
But
gonna stand in a line.
You're going to.
Product.
Yeah, you're gonna stand in a line. If you ask him, he might be able to get you a shuttle or a school bus to the game.
Yes.
And the Cubs play that night. They play against Arizona. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the college basketball bracket tournament. It's been kind of chalky. It's been very much there's been a couple of tiny upsets, but a lot of those tiny upsets have been things that people have actually been all over and things that people have picked. So
yeah, Clemson?
Yeah, no, I had McNeese beating Clemson. I picked McNeese. I think a lot of people were on McNeese. There's been a lot of things that I think St. John's going out yesterday is probably the biggest upset so far in the tournament. St. John's going out early. Before the Sweet 16. So, yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. It really hasn't been anything crazy. But before we get to all that stuff, let's go ahead to the very special birthday edition of It's Gibberish.
It's gibberish, yes. It's a diatribe, it's conspiracy theory, and it's an island in the middle of unapologetic and sometimes inaccurate sports talk. We haven't done anything yet. Let's give us some time to get on inaccurate. But anyway, baseball is back. And And more, I think, than my opinion, it is the hardest team sport ever invented. From a time-consuming aspect alone, that's very hard to deny. It's undeniable. It takes most players years to be good enough to play well, let alone get in the majors. And that's after college. They spend that time toiling in the minor leagues with no money and even less sense. They go to towns with names like Altoona and Biloxi, Rocket City, Gwinnett, if I'm saying that right, and Sugarland, Texas. I wonder what they got in Sugarland, Texas, Combs. Almost every great player must do this for longer than they and the team expect. Oh, yeah, and there's 162 games in a season in the majors. It was no different for one player on a bus in Arkansas in early June of 2002 when he was with the Angels organization in the minor leagues. He was toiling on this day, toiling through the business end of a couple of beers when he got caught on said team bus by manager Dud Sisson. The player's reaction was, "This is effing bullcrap. We're men." And then he almost knocked the manager out. Most players would be kicked off the team for such things. But this pitcher was special. This pitcher, at the time, he was the only pitcher in the minors to throw over 100 miles an hour. And he was nicknamed after a character in the movie Bull Durham, Nuke, if you remember, for his wild throws and even wilder behavior. After that bus incident, the player would fire his agent, Matt Sosnick, for not backing him up, to which that agent would respond, "Imagine being in the top 5 in the world at what you do, and your demons are so terrible that your ability is dwarfed. The worst thing that could happen is if he, this player, gets to the big leagues. If he gets to the big leagues, he'll free fall. He can't handle success." That pitcher would get kicked out of the Angels organization less than 2 years later for consistent alcohol abuse and behavior. And in almost every case, the agent would get his wish, except this time. If you didn't guess it already, the pitcher's name is Bobby Jenks.
Oh.
Bobby Jenks. And just a few years after that bus incident, he would play the lead role in the greatest American single season closer story in baseball history. Yes, on July 6, 2005, Bobby Jenks would get to the big leagues with another team, the Chicago White Sox. In his first appearance against Tampa Bay, when they were still the Devil Rays, he didn't give up a run, but would give up 3 runs in his next appearance, and his ERA would balloon to 20. Then he would only give up 3 runs in his next 16 appearances. He was dominant, consistently throwing over 100 miles an hour when almost no one else did back then, and had a devastating 12-6 curveball that buckled players' knees faster than a phone call from their wives on a long road trip. Thus started the legend of Bobby Jenks. When the Sox, then closer Dustin Hermanson, went down, Bobby closed game for the White Sox in the home stretch of 2005. He would only have 6 saves that year, but baseball was taking note. Ozzie Guillen even pitched in on the legend and would do this when calling for Bobby from the bullpen.
If you're Bobby Jenks, here's what your manager thinks of you. Give me this guy, big guy, tall guy. Jenks coming in.
There's no one like Ian, man. Come on. You've heard the story before, but Bobby Jenks came out of nowhere. The man has a story out of a fairy tale, like a boy raised by wolves. Pretty much out of baseball 1 year later, Jenks would throw the last pitch of the year.
Tying run at second, 2 out. Palmeiro over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
He went on to
Series in 2005.
Yeah, you never mention it, so it's like you don't even know it happened. He went on to save games after that, and on August 12th, 2007, he would set the record at the time for retiring 41 straight hitters. Pretty good for a guy who in 2000, after getting drafted, got drunk and took a lighter to his own throwing hand, permanently scarring himself. He would go on being dominant, but ultimately leave the Sox in 2010 to the Boston Red Sox. He would get hurt in Boston, and his demons would return. 13 years ago today, on March 23rd, 2012, during a routine police stop in Boston, Jenks would get a DUI. He would check himself into rehab in 2013, stay clean, but never pitch again in the majors. After his career, he would coach for the White Sox organization for a little bit and is currently manager of the Windy City Thunderbolts. News came in this week that Bobby had been diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer, and the prognosis does not look good. The family is taking donations for his medical bills and setting up possibly his last signing of memorabilia. From a self-centered perspective, Bobby is 44 years old, and today is my 44th birthday. So we share the same age, and we share something else. Bobby Jenks is an alcoholic, and so am I. Bobby, even though I don't know you, I am thinking about you and your family, brother. Thanks for your time. And that's Fitz gibberish. Combsy?
Well, look, first things first, cancer sucks.
Yes, it really does, doesn't it, man?
Fuck cancer.
What a story, dude. If you remember.
It's insane. It's insane. As far as the other stuff, man, look, you and I talk all the time. I'm extremely proud of you and the way you've dealt with it and continue to deal with it. And extremely proud of the way that you've handled it through everything that you've gone through over the last, ever since I talked you into doing this damn podcast. I feel like I'm the curse for you.
And no playoffs for Chicago team.
Personal lives have sucked over the last couple of years, but look, the way that you've handled it, man, is incredible. And so I commend you for that. And for Bobby and for his family, like you said, it sucks, man. It really does. It sucks for anybody to have to go through it. And half the time, we know more about it just because it's Bobby Jenks or just because it's a famous person or somebody that's in the limelight, or there's a story that gets, shed light upon it. But there's so many more people in the world that are going through it as well. And so, for anybody that's going through it, we feel for you. We hope that you can get through things and figure something out. And hopefully someday they finally, bring out the cure for cancer. And it's stupid. Cancer sucks, man. And for Bobby and for his whole family, for the White Sox organization and for their fans, it's, got to be a tough time right now for them. So yeah, I mean, that's really all you can say.
Yeah, great baseball story though, man. Really,
man, fantastic.
One of the best, for sure.
I love when Ozzy came out. I'll always remember Ozzy's like, "Give me the big guy." He was just like, that's one of the greatest things. And the greatest thing about Ozzy too is that Ozzy's like that off camera, right? Like if you ever meet Ozzy Gein and you get a chance to talk to him off camera, he's the same person that he is on camera with a lot more cussing. You know what I mean? Like he'll say a lot more curse words than he will on camera, of course. But he is that same guy, and he loved Bobby Jenks. Like, to hear him talk about Bobby Jenks and the way things were, were
Like he was a
going for
son
that team at the
almost.
time. Like, yeah, absolutely. And so, sad time for Bobby Jenks, sad time for his family. And it doesn't sound like the end result is going to be very good. So we just always thinking of him. And Jeremiah says Bobby's house in California burned down as well. At the same time, yep. I mean,
Jesus, man.
it's tough. My son in here says, "What's up, old man?" Also says, "Happy birthday, Fitz."
Hey,
And your
Junior.
brother's in here as well, saying, "Happy birthday, brother! I'm proud of you. Go Sox."
He's still got him at 75 wins.
There is
Talk a little bit
no,
about the Sox and Cubs. I mean, are the
there's no way.
Cubs going to win under 75? Are you down on the Cubs after losing 2 games? Is it
I'm not.
over?
I'm not down. Look, they lost to a team that a lot of people, which I still don't. I don't know, man. It's tough, right? I've heard people say that this is the best team ever assembled. Who's that on his moniker?
That's Roger Ebert after he got his jaw or part of his jaw sawed off because he had cancer. So
God.
this is about as sympathetic as you're going to get it
Downey
from a
Thomas is an
psychopath.
asshole. Happy birthday, you filthy animal.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
So yeah, no, the Sox are not going to win 75 games. I still believe the Cubs will win more than 70. They have a tough. If you look at their schedule, they've got a really tough April. It could be like, I don't. I said the other day, joking around, I said, "Is 2-28 to start the season bad?" Because their beginning of their schedule is absolutely brutal. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at it. I really didn't. Like, I looked at it, but I didn't look at it in depth until just like maybe a few days ago.
Diamondbacks next, huh?
But yeah, not only do you start with the Diamondbacks, and then you get the A's in not in Oakland anymore, wherever they're at there, and somewhere in California. And then you get the Padres, the Rangers, the Dodgers again, the Padres again, the Diamondbacks again, the Padres, and the Phillies. I mean, that's a brutal, brutal start to the season. So, but look, if you're going to be a playoff team, if you're going to be a team that is thought of being one of the better teams in the National League, you're going to have to win these games and at least win half of these games, if not more. So, coming out of there and coming out of those first 30 games, 15-15, I mean, I'd be okay there. I think you're in pretty good shape if you're 15-15. If you're 12-18, little questions. Pause for good. That's kind of more along the lines where I expect them to be, is around 12-18 in that stretch. They might surprise me.
Boy,
They might. Well, it's
that's
just
early though,
I mean,
man.
it is early. You do get the Dodgers to come to Wrigley in April as opposed to in June or July.
Which
you know,
will help.
Yeah, same thing with the Padres and the Rangers coming to Chicago in April 4th through the 9th.
Imanaga looked good. He had a great game.
Yeah, no, he looked good, still looked good.
Yeah.
But here's the Dodgers are, I mean, they did that to the Cubs. They were without Freeman and Betts.
So are you changing your Dodgers pick now after 2
No.
games? Seems
No.
early. Just seems early. Seems
No.
early.
I still think that the Dodgers
even
will not
1%.
win the World Series. I still don't even think that the Dodgers go to the World Series. I don't think the Dodgers win the National League. I really don't. I think that there are teams right now that are deep
I don't even think you had him in the NCLS or
in the NLCS. I did not.
Yes. CLS. Whatever. Inaccurate. There we go. We had a good one. I told you, give us time.
I didn't have him in the NCLS. I didn't have him in the ALS. I didn't have him in any of that.
ALS? Lou Gehrig's disease? And we're in the gutter again.
But no, I don't think that they, like, I don't know. And they could prove me wrong. They could win the next 5 World Series. You know what I mean? When you have teams like this, it just generally doesn't doesn't go the way that you think of. Baseball's a funny sport, man.
Can you read Jeremiah's comment, please? Thank
But
you.
the real question is, will Tom Ricketts break even during that span? He's going to try. I mean, that's what they try to do every season is just break even. Dumbest. I mean, he has had some really dumb comments over the course of his ownership. But the dumbest comment might be that one. The biblical losses one was pretty dumb too. It's right up there. But breaking even is just one of the dumbest I've ever seen.
John, Phillies are going to win the World Series.
I like it.
You guys agree with that? The Dodgers are going to win 120 games, and the White Sox are going to win 75 games.
See, now
Should we talk about the White Sox?
120 wins, man. That's do you want to talk about the 75 win White Sox? Do you want to
look, just
I'm gonna let the Sox fan go. Go ahead.
I think we're gonna have to talk about them. I mean, I can't give you a road. This isn't like the NFL where you can kind of go like, oh yeah, well maybe they'll be good. It's the NFL, so it's hard. But
that's what she said.
I'm trying to look up what their exact lineup's going to be. I mean,
you don't. How do you don't even know what their lineup's going to be?
I do. Well,
nobody knows what their lineup's going. They don't even know what their
lineup. Benattendi's probably going to be leading off. You know,
for 45 games until he gets hurt.
Luis Roberts, but I would think
12 games until he gets hurt.
You got Andrew Vaughn. Is probably they got the line. Oh, Talkman batting first.
Over or under 212 strikeouts for Andrew Vaughn.
Well, you could say that about a lot of hitters now. I mean, the strikeout rates
are. I'm asking you about Andrew Vaughn. Over or under 212 strikeouts.
Is he going to play in that many games this year? Is my question. Is he traded soon? If he gets like 10 to 15 home runs in the first half of the season, is he traded?
Oh, if he gets traded, he wins the MVP. He's my MVP pick if he gets traded.
Talkman, they have Luis Robert batting second. They have Benintendi batting third. And then they have Vaughn cleaning up. Yikes. Then Miguel Vargas, who's an unknown commodity, hasn't played well in the majors, but hasn't played a whole lot in the majors.
And your brother's about 4 shots of Jameson in, and he says, "Is Rye goes to opening day?"
Is Rye going to opening day?
Yeah. Is Rye goes to opening day? That's what it
said. Translation. Is Rye going to opening day? I think I am going to open. I don't have the tickets secured yet, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think there's going to be enough.
No, I think you're good. Yeah.
I think there's going to be enough tickets even for opening day.
I think if you show up at opening day, somebody might just hand you some for free.
Yeah, I know opening day. Well, they only had like a quarter of the crowd. I think opening day 2022 was close to sold out, but this won't be.
Doubting Thomas wants to know over or under 28 walks for Luis Robert.
I don't know. He was starting to walk a lot before he got hurt last year, and then he came back and was just free swinging the whole way. It's really hard to track what Luis Robert was going to do, because when you were bitching about him, Doubting Thomas, 2 years ago, and he hit 38 home runs and had 80-something RBIs and was like a runner-up to the Gold Glove Award in center field and was like a 7 or 8 WAR player. I didn't comment. I know. I just don't see him commenting. He doesn't come back to comment and be like, "Oh yeah, you guys were right about that." He never comes back on that. You're supposed to say, "Me go opening day rye smash milkshake." I'll have the milkshake. I haven't had the milkshake yet. I mean,
it's not good.
I would think they'll have the milkshake back.
Yep.
It was the only reason people were going to the game last year. So.
It's probably not the worst $20 I've ever spent. I mean, I've had some really bad hookers, so probably not the worst. I mean, wait, what? It's not the worst $20 you'll ever spend, but it's not.
My problem. Robert had 36 base on balls last year, so I mean, he had 170 Ks. Andrew Vaughn only had 121 Ks. So I mean, I don't know.
And how many plate appearances? 123. That team was so bad.
Yeah, that team was pretty bad.
Your brother says have the helmet chicken nachos.
Yeah, you know, I could.
Well,
do that.
on opening day, you get
I like
the
nachos.
helmet chicken nachos, and by the time you get back to your seat, it's so damn cold that your food is already cold.
Do you
Unless
want?
you're sitting in a suite.
Should we talk about the starting roster? I mean,
Let's
who
do it.
ends up? Josh Rojas. I mean, I really don't know why we have Josh Rojas, who I think is hurt. Yeah, he's got a fractured toe, so I don't think he's going to make the starting lineup, but we'll see. I just don't know why you don't have Colson Montgomery there at this point. I know he didn't really light it up until like the end of the minor leagues last year, but at this point,
Well,
like,
they
what are we
optioned him
waiting
to AAA already, right?
for? They did. They
Yeah.
did.
I don't know. I know I've heard people
Man.
say that it's the right thing to do, right? And you just
He
I
got
mean,
a slight injury
that's
again in the
awful,
minors,
so
so maybe that's what they're worried about, but whatever.
yeah.
Sosa at second base, he's an interesting player, hasn't played a lot, kind of like Miguel Vargas has been up and down in the majors, but hasn't played enough for us to know what he is. Has some pop. He's a second baseman. Corey Lee could be a pretty decent catcher, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't know, man.
I
And
just don't see if I saw power in the lineup and the lineup was still
well, not
this
only
bad.
that, but you're gonna have to score 10 runs a game with this pitching staff.
Yeah. Do you want to hear Sean Burke? We saw him last week. Gets really excited about getting the start to start the season.
Extremely excited. Yeah, I was more excited. He was like, "Do I have to?"
He's basically it was just like
Mike
yeah.
Clevenger is listed as the closer, so
Yes,
that's a thing. That's a thing.
I think he's only relieved a few games, and he's going to be a closer. But we just had a story about a guy who was raised by wolves who closed out the last game of the World Series.
Okay.
You're done? Are you
so
done?
Sean Burke, Davis Martin,
done already? I thought we were going to do more than this.
Jonathan Cannon, Martin Perez, and Drew Thorpe. I mean, Thorpe, obviously the big piece in the trade last year, right?
Yeah,
Was
Drew
Drew
Thorpe had discomfort in his elbow just a couple of days ago. He's supposed to be your ace and could be an interesting pitcher.
And he's going to be headed for Tommy John soon, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's looking that way. I mean, he got a bone spur taken out, or maybe some particles in the elbow, which pretty much every pitcher has after a certain amount of time. But sometime after the season, and they didn't think he was going to start anyway. So I'm hoping it's just that. I haven't heard anything else about Thorpe, but he'd be interesting to see pitch. Shane Smith, who has gotten, I think, from the Twins in a Rule 5 draft, he's going to be your fifth pitcher. Davis Martin's always been interesting, but he's been hurt. Just because he's got a lot of good breaking stuff and his fastball is just good enough.
Jeremiah says, if we're making 05 references, this team is as solid as Dustin Hermanson's floating back.
Yes, but his goatee was always like almost overdone manicured. Like he had like an intricate goatee.
Came out this morning that Drew Thorpe is having Tommy John surgery. I was not aware of that. I did not hear that.
All right.
All right. So
all right. Let me see here.
45 wins.
The only pitcher with any pedigree that was going to be in the starting lineup.
Where would you set the over under at? I mean, I know what Pacoda has it at.
51 games.
Yep.
Pacoda. Yeah.
Are you going over?
No, I'm right at 51 games. I said that before Pacoda even came out. I said that like a month ago. I'm right there. I think they're going to run into a few. Like they should have won more games last year, believe it or not. They lost a lot of games in the final innings. I think they're going to run into a couple. Luis Robert's going to have a couple of his crazy games. I really don't have anybody else to name after that. But you're going to have a couple of rookies do pretty good. I mean, maybe Colton Montgomery, sets the world on fire or something.
Here's my thing with Colton is why don't you, why instead of optioning him to AAA, are you not just bringing him up and being like, let's see what you got? Because basically what you have here with the Chicago White Sox is the extended AAA program.
Yes.
Like they have a few really good major league players. Luis Robert, fantastic players, an MVP type caliber player. Everybody else on this roster, though, is at 4A level right now.
It's like and Doubting Thomas. I hate to quote him, but he said it last week. Who are these guys? We should get a bunch of major league clips, but yeah. I mean, thank you, Dave. Thanks for joining us. Sorry to bother you in whatever you're doing today.
He heard we were talking White Sox. He couldn't wait.
Yes, he couldn't wait to get on. But who are these guys? I mean, you're right. It's if a lot of things go their way, it's a quadruple A team. If a lot of things go their way,
and you're telling me
some
that
talent here. Like I said, Miguel Vargas and Lenin Sosa are interesting players. There's some talent in the minors that are going to come up. Colson Montgomery's playing in the major leagues this year. Kyle Teal is playing in the major leagues this year. I don't even know if he made the roster or not. I don't think he did.
But are you telling me that Colson's not a better option right now than
Rojas?
And
hurt Josh Rojas? Yes, he is. I mean, to me, he is. I think he should be playing. I'd like to know where their mind's at. He didn't have a full spring training, so maybe that's what they're thinking.
Well, the mind is at getting him more reps and getting him more at bats in the minor leagues, because the thought for process that they have right now is that he would not be the starter for this team. And my question right away was, why not?
Team, then what is he a starter for? He's a left-handed hitter, has a bunch of power, and he plays on the left side of your infield. Like, that is worth its weight in gold in the major leagues.
No, I'm with you.
Gold. That's like a left-handed hitting right fielder who just got $500 million, for Christ's sake. Yeah. And that last one that was on that got 350, whatever Bryce Harper got. Juan Soto got what, 500? I mean, it literally, if the kid can hit and hit for power like he did at times in the minor leagues, I mean, he's a $500 million player that you got for 5 or 6 years. Like, let's start the clock. Let's get him some at bats on the major league level. I mean, I don't get it. You're playing it safe and you're bad. This is when you take chances. Luis Robert is a 3-WAR player at best. Not if he's hitting 38 home runs and playing center field every day. He's not. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong, because I think he has the ability to be.
All they want him to do is play almost every game this half and hit 15 home runs, and then they trade him for at least something. I mean, their trades haven't been that good. I think they lost the Dylan Cease trade already. I mean, I really do, and that has nothing to do with Drew Thorpe getting hurt. The Arrieta, the guy in the minors, looks like he has some talent, but he isn't playing well. And I don't even know who the hell else they got. You need guys that are like day one, like gonna come into the majors soon, budding stars. And I know they don't trade like they used to. They don't trade. Major league teams are not trading like they did, 7, 8, 9 years ago when the Sox try to do the first or fifth or whatever rebuild. I don't know. I lost count.
The continuous rebuild since 2005.
You're in it.
Look, I don't
They made
understand.
the playoffs in
Luis
2000.
Roberts been better than a 3-WAR player at least 2 of the 5 seasons that he's been in the league. So I can't say he's a 3-WAR player at best. I think he can be an 8-WAR player, 9-WAR player. I think he can get to double digits. He's a 14.4 WAR his entire career.
Yeah.
So he's played on some really bad teams.
Yes.
And it's hard. It is hard. And I don't care what any athlete says. I
Zero
don't care what
protection.
any fan says. It is hard to gear up day after day after day when you know you're going to get your ass kicked. And I know that's something that Seth Jones has been ridiculed about for being on the Blackhawks the last 2 years before he just got traded. It was that he was a guy who gave up 2 years ago because he knew what the team was going to be, so he never went out there and put his all out there. I can't rip a guy for that. If I am a part of this organization, I've said this time after time after time about this White Sox organization. They make people not want to play baseball anymore. I said it about Tim Anderson.
Ever again? Like not even with their kids later in life?
When you look at Tim Anderson and how great, like when they were in the cornfields and he hits that walk-off and how much pep is in his step and how much he loves the game and how much you love watching him his first couple of seasons in the league, right? And then you see over the course of the next 2 years of just how demoralized he is. When you see players getting traded away like Jake Berger, who goes to Miami, and they ask him about the trade and how he feels, and he says, "I told my wife I can finally enjoy playing baseball again." That it says something about this organization. This organization is a joke, and it stops people it stops people from wanting to play the game. It stops people from enjoying the game.
I don't believe it.
You're going to lose 120
not,
games a year.
Baseball players do not talk to their wives. I'm just telling you. But no, I agree. And especially in a lineup like this, and even more, and everybody's kind of a power hitter now, but even more when you're mainly a power hitter, which Luis Robert is, when you have no protection in the lineup, you're screwed. You're totally screwed. They're trying to give him some protection this year, but there's nothing there. You got Andrew Vaughn and Andrew Benintendi, the two Andrews. Sounds like a really bad sitcom, and it's going to be a really bad baseball team.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least it's a little bit more interesting than last year. You had a bunch of old players you were waiting to trade and players that you knew weren't going to be on the team. At least there'll be players coming up. Maybe they sell the team halfway through the year. There'll be some interest. I mean,
yeah, there's definitely going to be interest in Luis Robert. I mean, for sure. They could. I still don't know why he's on the roster now, to be honest with you. Because the problem with I get you want him to have a great year, you want him to go out there, you maximize his value, but you also give him the opportunity to go out there and get hurt again. And if that happens, you lose all value in Luis Robert Jr. I've given up 3 years of my life to this podcast.
Why not 3 months? That's a lot of time.
Is that Foreman on us? Is that George Foreman on us thing? George Foreman, who we lost.
Yes, George Foreman too. He didn't get a Fitz gibberish. Sorry, George.
No, you're not.
Great fighter. 45 won the title when he was 45.
But you didn't win a World Series that nobody knows about.
You're an asshole, dude. Everybody knows about it.
I mean, ESPN certainly doesn't know about it.
Oh yeah, Seth Jones been lighting it up after the trade.
I don't know what he's been doing after. I haven't really kept tabs on Seth Jones. It was beyond time for Seth Jones to go, and he really wasn't. He wasn't doing much in Chicago anyway. And I agree with people when they say that he was just dogging it on the ice. I agree with that when you watch him.
Jeremiah said it was sarcasm.
I figured. But it's just when you're looking at players like Luis Robert, and when you're looking at like the WAR, and you're looking at the stats, and you're looking at it's hard when you play on these teams. The same thing when you look at players that have played on the Oakland A's over the last couple of years, and then they go off to other places and they're superstars. When you look at players from I mean, hell, even
Colorado Rockies.
the
Happens
Colorado
all the time. Look at Nolan Arenado. I mean, he was
Troy
already good.
Tulowitzki.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of players. Who's the guy that's on the Red Sox right now? That was there. It was their second baseman. And he's a shortstop. Trevor Story.
Trevor Story. Yeah.
You see them leave a place where they're just constantly getting their butts kicked, and now you're seeing them in a place where they have a chance to win, and it's just a different thing. You look at Jake Berger. Jake Berger had his revenge game in spring training against the White Sox a couple days ago, where he hit like 3 home runs in 3 at bats.
He's going to be a first baseman now, where I thought he would
Yeah.
be, and he'd be a better first baseman in my mind than Andrew Vaughn, who they kept.
Yeah.
Who I still don't know what the problem is there, but maybe he's just an idiot.
Maybe he's the White Sox version of Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, where he's good somewhere else too.
Where he's not only good somewhere, but good in a lineup that has protection.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I
that's
mean?
true. Especially with Kyle Schwarber, who bats 200. And,
Yeah, but he
or
sees a ton of pitches,
198.
and they got him leading off so that the guys sitting behind him can see a lot of pitches heading up to him because he does eat a lot. That's one thing Kyle Schwarber's always done. He can draw a walk, and he sees a lot of pitches in an at bat. And he's still going to hit 40 home runs, but he's only going to hit 200. The 40 home runs are going to be the 40 of his 50 total hits. But
Yeah.
it's just what he is, and I think that's where you're at with Andrew Vaughn. I think that they thought he was going to be Babe Ruth, and it just turns out that he's just a role player that needs protection, and there's no protection. No matter how you put it, you could bat him in front of Luis Robert. I would walk him and Luis Robert and face everybody else you throw at me because there's nobody else I'm scared of.
When he came out of the draft, he was drafted third, supposed to be one of the best hitting prospects in a while, and
yeah,
seems like he's very controlled in there. I don't know if he just doesn't have the power. It's frustrating.
It is. It's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to be, and that's where you go back to the organization, right? Like you've just done a poor job. It's the same thing with the 2016 Cubs. Did a piss poor job of building around their strengths. Did a piss poor job of building around guys like Schwarber, guys like Chris Bryant, guys like Anthony Rizzo, and they just rested on the fact that they overachieved one year, and they didn't believe that they had to build around them, and didn't believe that these guys could just be good role players that needed a superstar. And that's what I'm sorry, but that's what Anthony Rizzo was. That's what Chris Bryant was. They're not superstars. They are really good role players. They are pieces, but they are not the piece in any winning organization.
Kind of like
they were always going to be.
Kind of like Armstrong.
Yeah.
And the like that are on the Cubs now. I mean, I guess Kyle Tucker, he could be a superstar for sure. You could definitely put him there. I just don't know. We're gonna see what this Cubs team is, but I have them winning the division.
87 wins. I mean, I'm on the Reds. I said that last week. I think the Reds are the best team in this division. I've said this for a while. I feel like the Reds are the best team in this division. I believe that they have the best manager in this division.
Chris Bryant won an MVP.
He did win an MVP.
The only stat that Doubting Thomas knows.
It was his second year in the league, and he made $750,000 that year.
He did because they were doing well.
That whole team played above what they were that entire season. They were out of their mind for about a year and a half because in 2015 they made it to the NLCS, and then in 2016 they won the World Series.
You're telling me Javi Baez isn't great right now?
Well, and that pitching staff was phenomenal as well. I mean, Jake Arrieta went from a guy that the Orioles just walked away from to being a guy who had a 2-year stretch that was probably the greatest 2-year stretch in starting pitcher that you might ever see. I mean, he had an ERA of like close to under 1 for a long time. I think it was like
Gibson territory.
Yeah, I think it was like a 20-game stretch where he had an ERA of under 1. I mean,
he's great. Master couldn't throw to first base, but he was great.
Yeah. He couldn't throw to first base. I'll never forget Wilson Contreras when he was at the Cubs convention, and a kid asked him what he said to John Lester about picking off, and Wilson Contreras answer, he's like, I just tell him, throw the fucking ball. So yeah, no, I look that team was, I mean, could have been more, but they didn't build around it right, and it's the same thing with the White Sox right now. The Cubs are going to be a 87 to 90 win team, somewhere in that area.
Do you have him there? Do you have him at 87?
I have them at 87. I would put them at 87.
12 and 18 first month.
Yeah, I have them at 87. Yes, 12 and 18 in the first month, but then your schedule eventually evens itself out, right?
Up. You got the Colorado Rockies here.
Yeah, you might have a May or a June where you go, 20 and 10, so it'll even out. But I think that this team is still lacking some things. I think it's still lacking back end of the rotation, which might be helped out by Ben Brown, might be helped out by Jordan Wicks. We don't know yet. They optioned Wicks to AAA because he had an option. You don't know what you're going to get out of it, because you haven't seen it yet. And I know it's still spring training, it's still early, but you still don't know what you're going to get out of Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's in a contract year. Is he going to have one of those contract years where he's going to make $1 billion in a contract? Or is he going to have one of those contract years where he's going to have to sign a 2-year extension somewhere for short money to prove it again? Like, those are the things that are going to have to play out. And in order for the Cubs right now to do it, it's going to be, and Jed Hoyer has said this out loud, they have some guys that they have that have to play above board. They've got a roster that is that has some talent, but they are going to have to play above board. They're going to have to play above what they are projected. And that is a dangerous place to be with a roster.
Yeah,
I don't care how many times, if you are relying on players to play above their talent level, that is a dangerous spot to be. You are not the Dodgers, you are not the Braves, you are not the Phillies. You're not any of these teams that actually went out and filled their roster with talent. And yes, those teams still have to have the talent perform, but they've still got the talent. You're looking for the talent to be where their talent is here. You're looking for it to be here all year long, and that's a tough ask, man. That's a tough ask from anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't understand where this organization is going. Remember how big a difference Craig Counsell coming to the Cubs made? Nothing, another 83-win season.
But see, the difference, what we're expecting from Francona is that Francona has already done it.
Yeah.
Francona's done it. He did it at Boston. He did it in Cleveland. He's already gone to franchises that are struggling and made them into winners. He's already done that stuff. And yes, all three of those, well, the first two and now the third one, spots have talent on the roster. The Reds have the talent. I mean, the Reds absolutely, I think top to bottom in the lineup and in the rotation, the Reds have the best roster in the division.
What the?
They do. When you look at the Reds lineup compared to the Cubs lineup,
I just don't think I agree with that. I think the Cubs are better.
Where?
I think you're just too close to the Cubs and
It's
too
not because I'm too close to the Cubs. It's because look, all right, let's go through this, okay? Let's go position by position with the Cubs and the Reds. Well, seriously, because that's what you have to do. If you're telling me that I'm wrong and that you don't see it, is Tyler Stevenson better than Miguel Amaya?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you first base, right? Because I think Michael Busch is probably right now better than Spencer Steer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably not in the future.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I was just going to say Spencer Steer has the potential to have a better year than Michael Busch, though.
Yes, he does.
Matt McClain, to me, right now is a better, and I love Nico Horner. I'd rather have Matt McClain as my second baseman.
Yeah, I mean, he beat out a really good second baseman.
Yeah.
Can't think of his name for the job there in Cincinnati.
Gavin Lux.
Yeah.
He's a project, but his ceiling is right where same thing with Matt Shaw, right? So I'll even give you that as a push. I'll even give you that as a push.
Nick Shaw,
shortstop. Would you take Ellie De La Cruz or would you take Dansby Swanson?
We can go on. You know what I think of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That man is a different kind of talent.
Left field,
Go
you
ahead
probably
if you
give to the
haven't looked
Cubs,
up his
right? Ian
highlights.
Happ over Austin Hayes. I would give that to the Cubs.
Yeah, I would.
Center
would.
field is
Better,
probably a
you
push
know.
right now with TJ Friedel and Crow Armstrong.
Yeah.
Probably a push. And then in right field, you got Jake Fraley, and then you've got Kyle Tucker. And on paper, yes, it's Kyle Tucker, but again, I mean, you've seen the struggles already so far in the spring. He's only got the one hit in the spring, and then he has the one
Sure.
regular season hit that he got in the ninth inning of the game 2 in Japan. Kyle
and Tucker's 40 home runs this year down in town.
And then Jamer Candelario or Seiya Suzuki at DH. So we name, even if you give that to Seiya Suzuki, we named 2 pushes, but we named 6 position players that are better with the Reds than they are with the Cubs.
Yeah.
The Reds are a better roster right now, and now you put one of the greatest managers of all time with that roster. That's why I am on the Reds. It's not because I'm too close to the Cubs. Because
I think the Cubs have better
I
pitching.
wish the Cubs were that good.
I think the Cubs have better pitching. Cubs are the favorite at
Oh.
plus 110 to win the division. Cincy is minus 475.
I know. Yeah, they got the Cubs and the
Plus
Brewers ahead of
475.
Cincy. I think that's crazy.
Plus 470. That didn't make any sense when I said it. Okay. But Cincy is plus 475. I don't know. That's
So
kind of
you think Lodolo and Brady Singer on the back end of the rotation is not as good as what the Cubs have in the back end of their rotation?
the front end of the Cubs rotation is definitely better. That's what
Hunter Green and Nick Martinez are damn good, man.
Yeah, I mean Hunter Green.
Hunter Green, I give Hunter Green over Steele.
I think the Cubs' true ace, even though Imanaga, I think, pitched the first game.
I think Imanaga is the true ace, to be honest with you. I don't think Steele's the ace. I don't think Steele's as good as people give him credit for.
He's been hurt, and he hasn't been good at the end of seasons. So, I mean, that's probably why he's not pitching the first game. And Cubs don't have an ace. Oh, boy.
I mean, that's
definitely Cincinnati's ace. I mean, that goes without saying. Super talented. Yeah, fuck, I forgot about. That's tough. Hope the Sox win today in Phoenix so Rye doesn't have to bail our dad out of jail on his birthday. I'm not answering the phone. My dad is in Sox spring training right now.
Oh,
probably half cocked.
Yeah, that you probably don't have to put probably in there.
75-year-old Irishman in the hot sun of Arizona. Should work out great. Should work out. South side. Yeah.
That's wild. Good for him, though, man. Good for him. Why didn't you go with him?
I can't. I wasn't even asked. He goes on my birthday.
He didn't even invite you?
I would have gone if he would have definitely
didn't even invite you on your birthday to go to Arizona with him.
I got stuff to do, man. I'm a very important guy. I'm busy.
Way to go, Mr. Fitz. Way to go. I know you're gonna watch this at some point. We're gonna clip it. We're gonna send it to you. Way to go. Is he playing third?
Or
he might be.
He might be. I mean,
either that or he might be attacking a first base coach.
Del Vargas
of a game pitching change.
We might jump out and beat up a third base. Yeah, coach.
Is John with him?
No, John is not with him.
Oh, who went with him? He's on his own?
He's on his own, man. He's rogue.
Nikes.
Just him, and if you count his mustache, he's with somebody.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. He's walking right now with a Miller Lite somewhere in the Sahara. He's out there. he's in the desert somewhere, just wandering around with a case of Miller Lite.
Any chance I get
live actual footage
of
your dad. Yeah.
But I think we beat the dead horse here with baseball. What about you? You got anything else? Got any other thoughts? Any other facts?
I'm just ready for it to start, man. So for those of you guys watching right now, on opening night. If you want to join and watch the Cubs opener against the Arizona Diamondbacks at 9 o'clock, I will be doing a live watch party here on the show. I will have
all right. I'll see you guys there.
I will have former hosts of the Lockdown Pod, Cubs podcast, Sean
I'll be
Sears here
joining
with me.
for a few
Ryan
minutes.
Fitz is going to hop on for a little bit. After watching the White Sox home opener, we'll see what kind of state he's in after that. He probably will already at that point be done with the baseball season and never want to watch
Yes,
another game for the rest of
baseball
the year.
again.
But yeah,
John says no.
no what? No, you don't want to join. No, you're not in
No, he doesn't want
Arizona.
to.
No.
Be joining.
Yeah. Look, if you don't want to, you don't have to join. Chances are you're going to join anyway because that's just what you do. But yeah, no, you guys could join us on opening night. We will be live to watch the Cubs take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know the Sox are on earlier. I might hop on and do something for the Sox too. I don't know what time I'll be home from work.
Don't do that.
I get out of work at 3.
That.
I'll be on my way home after that, and then I'll be somewhere around here.
What if they're winning? What if they're losing 7-1?
If they're losing 7-1, I'll definitely hop on.
And if they're winning 7-1, you're not hopping on.
I
was tired. I had a cold. I had to take a poo poo. I had to take cacas.
If enough people want me to do it, I will hop on. What time's the game? 3:30?
3:10.
3:10?
Probably 3:30 with the start of the game, it being opening day.
I work downtown.
You have to announce all the players so we know who's playing.
I've got to drive from downtown back here to the south side at 3:00 in the afternoon on a day where the White Sox are at home on opening day. So chances are I won't be home about 6:30.
The traffic is gonna be congested.
Yeah. The 6 people that are going to the game are really going to tie up traffic.
Yes. Jeremiah, Mr. Fitz once went back in time to stop the Kennedy assassination. He deflected all 3 bullets with his mustache. Kennedy's head exploded out of sheer amazement.
And Mr. Fitz is Chuck Norris now?
Yes, I guess. True story. Your dad's mustache wasn't that far behind, Jeremiah. He's got a point.
All right, let's talk about the NCAA tournament. It's been pretty chalky. There has not been a ton of upsets. UConn almost pulled one off today, almost knocked off a 1 seed. It was a 2-point game. Probably wasn't as close as what the score indicated. Right now, you got Duke's on top of Baylor, 37-30, with about 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. I don't see a situation where Duke loses. I have Florida and Duke in the title game. All 4 of my bracket, all 4 of my Final 4 teams are still alive. I've lost one of my Elite 8 teams in St. John's last night. That's probably the biggest upset that's happened so far. What has been your takeaway from this tournament? Have you been impressed with the way the tournament's gone, or is it kind of just been like, for me, there's been some good basketball. It's been fun to watch, but it's also been kind of a boring tournament because there hasn't been those huge upsets. A lot of the things that have happened that have been upsets are things that I had on my bracket.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of intrigue, and this is definitely a tournament that needs a lot of intrigue. They don't have their Loyola team. What's her name? Sister Pat? Where is she? They don't have their Northwestern team. They don't have their George Mason team. They don't have, and with talent being diluted in NCAA basketball, that could be a problem for them. And the basketball isn't as good looking as it was 20 years ago when you had Derrick Rose playing for Memphis or like players like that.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. So you need to have some intrigue, and this didn't. You're right. It's very, very chalky. I think it's interesting. You do have some interesting teams playing still. Illinois, I think, has a chance
Yeah.
to make it tonight. I mean, I
They're
think
actually the
favored.
favorite against Kentucky. Yeah,
Yeah, we were
They're
saying
1.5
that by
point favorite.
-1.5.
Yeah.
And to just to add more intrigue, Doubting Thomas said, I seen Mr. Fitz separate his shoulder and wanted to stay in the game. Yeah, I was there. That actually happened. But anyway,
Poured a Miller Lite on it and it popped back into place.
popped back into place miraculously. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing to ferment Miller Lite, but okay. Yeah, I've enjoyed it somewhat. You're right. Maybe if UConn beats Florida, then there's a little bit more intrigue, but it's really hard to get into this tournament.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, like I said, I mean, I've been watching every day. I mean, I have to for my job, but I've been pretty in tune with it. It's just, I mean, there has been some good, but there's been a lot of blowouts, man. There's been a lot of blowouts. There's been a lot of games that just are not close. And then there are some that just get close towards the end just because, the top seed takes their foot off the gas. The same thing that, I mean, Florida was in control of that game earlier. And against UConn, it ends up being a 2-point game down the stretch just because of the foul game that they're playing and this and that. But it just wasn't that close of a game. Like Florida, to me, Florida's the best team in the country. I think Florida wins it all. I think Duke's going to be there too. I like Cooper Flag a lot. I don't know that Cooper Flag. Hot take. I don't know that Cooper Flag is going to be a very good NBA player. So I don't. But I do think that this Duke team can get to the title game. I don't see anybody in this bracket beating them heading into the Final Four at the very least. Could they lose in the Final Four? Sure. They could absolutely lose to a Houston team or a Tennessee that has been playing really well. I could definitely see that. Florida, I see a couple people. I was looking at some of my bracket challenges where I'm in a couple of different groups. I do see somebody that has Texas Tech and Michigan State in the Final Four on that side. I just don't see it. I think that's kind of one of those picks where it's like, oh, let me see what kind of you know crazy pick I can make on this side because something always happens type thing. But I just think it's going to be a chunk. I think it's going to be 1-2 versus 1-2 in the Final Four. I think you're going to have Tennessee versus Houston, or I'm sorry, Tennessee versus Duke, and I think you're going to have uh, Florida versus Michigan State. And I think that that's going to be like the upsets that happen is going to be a 2 beating a 1 in the Elite 8 or something crazy. Like it's not going to be I don't think this is the year where you're going to see a 7 seed or a 3 seed or a 4 seed make it into the Final Four because I just think that there's a large gap between the top 6 teams in the country and the rest of it. And that's why I think you've been seeing a lot of chalkiness in this tournament.
Jeremiah's got Auburn getting bounced the first time they face
They are my first 1 seed out. I have them losing. I'm trying to pull up my bracket right now. I have them.
This makes a good point for once. He runs into one every once in a while. I think less upsets because if you're college Steph Curry in 2025, you're moving to a bigger school. Yeah, you're not playing on Davidson.
Yeah.
Where Steph Curry was playing back, many years, 15 years ago.
Right.
For more NIL money. He does have a point there.
Yeah, I have Auburn losing to Michigan State in the Elite 8.
Okay.
I think Michigan State.
Illinois winning tonight?
I do believe that I picked Illinois. No, I picked Kentucky over Illinois. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think it might be the best game of the day to watch. It's going to be the Illinois Kentucky game. I know a lot of people are picking Illinois. I might even bet Illinois just because I mean they do have a chance. I'm not saying Kentucky's going to run. I just picked Kentucky in my bracket. But there is a scenario like I would not be shocked at all if Illinois wins this game.
Yeah, no, not me neither. I mean, I just think I I'm surprised I have no idea why they're the favorite. Like, I don't see the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
It's not like they won the Big Ten tournament or anything like that. If they did, I might understand it a little bit more. It's just the pedigree usually with Kentucky is better. But, I mean, we're going to see what happens. And you got Florida as the best team in the tournament.
I do. I got Florida winning it over Duke. Yeah, I put out the tournament bracket challenge. I put it up on our page, and I did it, and one other person did it. I don't even know who the other person is, but I did it. And one other person did it, and that was it. Fitz, how's your bracket? Oh, you didn't put one out.
You're son of a bitch, dude.
You didn't put one up.
You're a bad person.
I mean, this guy.
It's like you say that the tournament's boring. You
It's
take
like you're not even a part of this show.
You take 5 minutes to say that the tournament is boring, and then you ask why I didn't do a bracket.
Yes, you're a part of this show. You have to interact every once in a while.
Probably because people in Kentucky are malnourished.
Oh my God. All right. Are you ready to get out of here?
Are we all done already? Are we closing the doors? You don't want to talk about Jameis Winston and go into the Giants? You're the only one that cares. We'll lose the rest of our viewers.
I mean, Jameis Winston going to the Giants is, I mean, it gives them time to wait for Arch Manning. I felt like Jameis Winston got a raw deal earlier in his career when he was with
Tampa,
and then they moved on to
the
Tom
best
Brady, but
the best quarterback ever.
Yeah, but the year that Jameis Winston threw the 30 interception, I've said it time and time again, he was the only quarterback that season that threw for 5,000 yards and 30 plus touchdowns. So did he throw for a bunch of interceptions? Sure,
all over the field.
But he threw for 5,000 yards and 30 plus. He was the only quarterback that year to do it.
How many attempts did he have? Do you have 50 passing attempps a game? I mean,
anyway, he got a raw deal then.
Funny. Him in the New York media,
to make it
and how weird he is in the New York media. He still has a little talent left. I mean, you saw that last year, even though it was uneven. Yeah. Jeremiah, thanks.
But the media is gonna love him because Jameis is great for media. I mean, I would love him too because he's great for media. But
I mean, I don't know if like Justin Fields.
I don't know that his wide receivers are gonna love him.
I don't know if Justin Fields like did something to Doubting Thomas in the past, or
somebody said the Giants are gonna draft.
Doubting Thomas says, "I'll take the Jameis Winston contract over the Justin Fields contract."
Yeah. I think Justin Fields with the Jets is actually a good thing. I really do. I might pick them to go to the playoffs.
Oh boy, that's a little much, don't you think? We both picked them to go to the playoffs last year. How did that work out with a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yeah, I just think maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't as good as Justin Fields.
Oh, really? Because when I was talking crap about Aaron Rodgers, you said he had 28 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. And I said, against who did he have those touchdowns? Here we go. Giants drafting Tupac Sanders.
Yeah, well, that's what I've heard. I've heard that no matter what, they're going to draft Shedeur Sanders as well. But I also saw something. I think it was just kind of a joke, but about them drafting. Why am I going to blank on his name? It played for Colorado as well, but played both ways. Travis Hunter, and they said they're going to draft Travis Hunter so that way he can get more tackles for every time Jameis throws an interception. All right.
I feel like you're ending the show because you have to go caucus.
I don't have to go caucus. I would be like, hey, we gotta go. I'm ending the show because, one, it's your birthday. You're going to spend some time with your son and go celebrate your birthday.
Yep.
I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to go grab something to eat. And then I've got another show that I'm going to be doing in a little bit, talking all baseball with Sean Sears. And, yeah, it's Sunday, man. What else?
Yeah. Let's go.
All right. So we will see you guys on next Sunday. I will see you guys Thursday if you want. We're going to be here. I'll put out a whole thing. I'll put out an ad for it, all that other fun stuff.
He'll be here for the
join us
Sox
on
game
opening
too.
day.
He'll be here for the Sox game too.
If I get enough people with interest for the Sox game, once I get home from work, I don't know what time it'll be, I will hop on for the Sox game. And
You lied to me.
You said your finger was a gun.
We can make fun of the White Sox all together because that's what's going to end up happening. Until next time, same bad time, same bad channel. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies.